I have just some simple housekeeping rules. And the first is, if you guys can keep your microphones muted, that would be great, so that there's no interference in the sound. And secondly, if you guys have any questions, so we really encourage you guys to send all the questions that you have. Please send them all to me on the chat box here on Zoom. So I'll be able to put in line, and I'll be asking you to come live to ask your question. So if you guys have any questions, please send them directly. And that's it, guys. I hope you have a great live. And if possible, turn on your cameras. It's always so nice to be able to see all of you. It's with you, Dad. Go ahead.
Good morning. So thank you for joining me. It's so nice to see you all. I know I've been seeing you more often. I've been seeing you in the workshop, coaching program. We've been talking very often, but every time it's just as cool. It's pretty nice. I really enjoy these moments, and we are planning to have this conversations happening more often, because the consistency of your practices have been remarkable from my perspective. Almost every single student of mine has been practicing yoga daily and with me. And it's, as I was just saying in Brazil, definitely we are not doing virtual class. It's very real. And the consistency have been allowing me to present the method with a tremendous amount of lightness, and the lightness has been one of the main reasons why you are sharing so many positive results from the practice. Once again, I love this work, but I was not expecting my students to engage so deeply and so often. And I was not expecting the opportunity to share the method exactly as I believe it should be shared. So that's super cool. This month of November, the next month, we'll be working with a different set of classes that you have seen before, although presented in a different order. As some of you are with me in the coaching program, and you've been noticing how the order of the sequences have been changing the experience you usually have. And this is exactly what's going to happen in the coming month. I will use a specific series to imprint more informations that I really believe are important at this moment, in order for you all to be ready to the new routines and the new practices that I'll be introducing in December. So the month of November is about integration, it's about progression, it's about development, and it's about getting ready for December as well. In December, yes, I'll be using very different classes that most of you haven't seen. And exactly because you are practicing more than ever before, and practicing more properly than ever before, and practicing in your most comfortable environment, which is also a big factor when it comes to the results we can have access to. We will be having another moment like this right before getting started with the month of December. And in that next meeting, I'll be showing to all of you how some of the new poses will be approached, and exactly how I'd like you to incorporate these new pieces into the classes you will be seeing. So also, today we will have a series of questions. So send the questions, and let's try to make this moment even more productive, okay? For November, I'd like you to be practicing just as you are already. Although the classes might make you feel like practicing more. If you feel inclined to practice more, I would love you to repeat the exact same class in the exact same day. So practicing the same class twice a day is when you want to have more intensity is the way to go, at least for this month, okay? So do we have questions?
So we do have one question that popped up on a chat, on one of our chat boxes. So the person's not here on Zoom. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask for them. Is in regards to how many classes a week to do, because now during the pandemic, what happens is the person's being able to practice more. So now that life is starting to get a little bit more similar to what was happening before and the in-person is available, how to address that?
Well, many of you have been reporting that you are practicing every day. Many of you have been reporting that you felt inclined to practice more than once a day. And many of you have been very fortunate in categorizing your practices properly. And that has a tremendous value. The way we categorize changes everything, because eventually you have this snowball of neurological re-pattern happening and helping you more intensely every day. So for me, as I've shared with some of you, I categorize my practice as relief. Practice for me equals relief all the time. It doesn't matter from what. So if I'm exhausted, it's relief from exhaustion. If it's tightness, it's relief from tightness. If there's something with my nervous system, it's relief from that. If there is pain, whatever, it's practice always equals relief. That is my main way of seeing things. And I think that is very meaningful because after a year staring at your mat before practicing and allowing that idea to take over, you've been creating this match between the way you categorize and the experience you have. And then after 5 years, that connection becomes stronger and stronger every day. So eventually, it's very clear and very meaningful that it's acting inside of you in various different levels. And you have this, even on top of the neuroplastic aspect, you have this wave of subconscious forces operating in your favor and helping you to harvest more and better results with more ease. So once you start categorizing properly, virtually, there is no limit to the amount of classes you can take or to the amount of hours you can practice. Everything depends on the way you categorize. So if you do it right, then many of you are long-term students of mine. So for you, it's like practice equals well-being, relief, relaxation, freedom. Each one of you have been using a different word. And the more you use it, the more you feel that as you approach the mat, the stronger that subconscious wave of intention becomes. So it has to transcend your conscious mind in order for you to have this powerful push in the proper direction. I think that is a tremendous asset. And then there is no limit to the amount of practices. It depends on how you feel and what your categorization really is. Once you do that properly, you get even more efficient in acknowledging the days when you should not be practicing, which is also a very important factor. I've been, over this past few weeks in the coaching program, pushing many of you a lot I've been pushing various boundaries, and I've been pushing limits, and I've been bringing different poses, new poses, complexity, combining classes in ways you haven't seen before. And yesterday, I'm seeing Bonnie here on my screen, and she said, no, I couldn't practice yesterday. I was exhausted. That is a beautiful thing. The moments when you don't feel that you're losing anything, that you are lacking anything, you're just absolutely sure that the right practice today is just to be resting. So that, guys, most of you are Americans. That doesn't happen often. When you learn that, then yoga goes to a whole new level of quality and depth. Learning that is not about the doing. It's sometimes, very often, about not doing. It's about just indulging time on your couches instead of coaching and coaching. So that is very remarkable, because I was not expecting so many nice feedbacks in that direction. Many of you over the past week just mentioned, I can't, today I can't, today I can't. And that is beautiful. Because then you, and some of you, and you see in my audio today, I've mentioned that. Don't practice not even the circulatory sequence, because that is practicing as well. And we have to learn how not to practice being fine, using no resources for relaxation, just our own mindset. When you have that, then things get really, really remarkably good. And the forces of the consistency will start opening more and more doors of awareness. So practice a lot, not because you're committed, but because you feel inclined, and because you felt the categorization has been creating a different mindset inside of you, and a different inclination towards the practice. Then when you have that, and when you categorize properly, you clearly see when it's time for you to back off and rest. And usually a good reference point for that is the way you feel when you go back. Because when you rest properly, in the next day you go back, and it does not only feel great, but it feels better. Are you enjoying this, Susie? I haven't seen you smiling like this in a while.
Nice.
Can I ask you a question? Because I don't know how to use the chat room.
Yeah, so it's probably you. Yeah.
Could I ask you a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like you to talk about osteoporosis and forward folds.
Okay.
Because the doctors are saying not to, I'm in osteoporosis. So the doctors are saying not to do forward folds.
Yes. So have you seen my newsletter this month?
No.
Read it. I think it's been sent, and it's on that. Not exactly in regards to the forward folds, but in regards to osteoporosis. And I'm sharing actually, my student is sharing her own story and what happened to her. Basically, this person had a lifetime of physical activities and sports. She was professionally involved in sports with different institutions, education, colleges. She was a professor for physical education and a coach in various different sports as well. She came to me with a very advanced degenerative process in the hips with osteoporosis. So both things operating together, lots of pain. Now, we've reversed the osteoporosis almost 100%. Okay, it's been only 3 years. And the hip pain is highly manageable. Rarely she's in pain. And when she's in pain, she understands exactly why and what to do. So very nice results. She's a teacher of mine in the very south of this country. And I understand the American standard procedure in regards to osteoporosis is that. But I think that's going to be changing in the future, because from my perspective, and I might be totally wrong, I don't think I am, but I might be, I believe the underutilization will increase the problem dramatically. So I believe it's the same mindset we've been using in the medical field all over the globe. It's the same thing as always. Don't feel, don't feel, don't feel. But then you were walking, just you, Susie, you just came to the upper part of your house to watch this little conversation. That means you've used your stairs. So what happens when you go down the stairs? I mean, all of us have stairs at home, and all of us, every now and then, we fall. So there is no how you protect an area and expect the area to be alive. The more we protect, the more fragile the areas will be. So in theory, if you sit on your car to drive, that is a forward flexion already. If you sit on a toilet, that is a forward flexion already. So no, there is no such a thing as not to flex the spine and to be alive. It's not doable. Okay, you lie on your bed on your left side and you move your knees closer to you to sleep in a more cozy position. That is a forward flexion. Okay, so it's practically speaking not doable. That's my first observation. Second, bones, they only reabsorb calcium when they are stressed out. So they need opposite forces in the bone cells, and that event is one of the main reasons why you will absorb calcium. So if you don't have that, that's not going to happen. But I totally understand, and there is a degree. There is a very, very extreme degree of osteoporosis where you might live under the risk of having a spontaneous bone fracture. But if the risk is that high, it's going to happen on your couch. If the risk is that high, you will break a rib coughing. So I think, one of the key components here is the fact that we want the medical field to be taking a responsibility, and we want it to be 100% safe, and that's not going to happen. It's our body, it's our responsibility, it's our way of living, it's the thoughts we foster or not, it's the actions we take or not. And once we do that, then the medical field starts operating much better for us. But if we don't take the responsibility, we put them in a very difficult situation because we expect things that are not reasonable. So in my experience, and I've seen it so many times in Brazil, and also with you guys in the States, people respond very well to Sukhasana. Hip bones, hip joints, lower back bones, all of them. And I've seen so many images showing that, showing the change in the students' exams. I've seen it so many times, okay? I haven't seen great responses from the gym. I haven't seen great responses from weightlifting. I haven't seen as many great responses from calcium supplements as I've seen in class. And this is exactly why I do what I do. There is a big difference, a big gap. So the way the American society today approaches osteoporosis is, from my perspective, something that we all will see changing in the future, because numbers will get worse. Okay, I understand extreme situations where that might be a good option, not to everybody. In Europe, the approach is extremely different, and in South America, the approach is also extremely different. Okay, so that one line, don't fold forward under any circumstances, I haven't heard anywhere else so far. Okay, I understand where it comes from. I just don't think it's going to be sustainable in the long run.
Great, guys. So now we do have a question from Judith Oakland. Judith, can you bring your question to everyone, please? Judith, you are muted. Can you open up your sound first?
Okay. Hi. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi.
Perfectly.
Just want to say so much gratitude for the online daily. It is one of the gifts from COVID. I feel like, though in an ugly box, but it's such a gift. I live 200 miles south of Boulder, and to be able to not have to drive to Boulder and have the classes, but come into my studio here is wonderful. The question I had is about proper categorization. Are you talking about how we categorize internally in ourselves, like that listening to whether we work today or we let it be very gentle? Or anyway, if you could just say more about that.
Yeah.
Quality.
So it could be a simple word like nurturing. Practice B is nurturing. Okay, it's nurturing, and then you just expand that, not like setting an intention. An intention is something that we change every day. We might have an intention today and a different intention tomorrow. An intention is always responding to our mindset and life at the moment. What I'm saying is a lifelong intention that gets so ingrained in you that changes everything you do. So everything you do is good from your conscious approach, but also your categorization operates subconsciously, creating even more powerful forces that will help you in the process of getting that result. My suggestion, and yes, this your statement is basically what all my students have been saying. They are practicing a lot more than ever before, every day, sometimes more than once a day. And that's beautiful. If you categorize properly, and if you have the space in your life for that, you can practice endlessly, because you will always get the same results, and you will always feel the way you want to feel, and you will see this loop of progression growing and growing. So let's say sit on your couch once you have your mat open. That's very important. Sit on your couch once you have your mat open. And imprint this moment, this pre-practicing ritual, with something that is enjoyable, pleasurable, meaningful, like your fresh coffee in the morning, like your tea in the morning. And then just sit there, not on your mat, but seeing your mat. have your eyes closed for a moment and just again engage with the categorization, because that will be a ritual that eventually take over. So at the moment you have something that you like your tea, and match a very small but nurturing pleasure with the categorization, then you create this positive emotion that eventually is the main mark of your practice. So you categorize, you add pleasure to the mix, and you go back and revisit this little ritual daily. A moment of silence, a moment of nurturing. This is how I want to feel as I practice. I want to feel nurtured after practicing. Then you sip your tea, and you do it again, and you sip your tea, and then you move into the mat with a very positive emotion to imprint the experience. And that happens over and over again.
Yeah, thank you. I also feel now, I thought that I started studying yoga in my 20s. I'm in my 70s. And this quality of yoga I have never before had permeate into the view in how I live my life. Noticing the gentleness no more, noticing where I just am pushing myself, because yes, in America, isn't that the way? And
this mindset is beautiful in many ways. It creates a great pattern of development and evolution. But as I usually say in trainings, it's sometimes overwhelming. And our lives today, not only COVID, but everything, technology, information, everything is overwhelming in the nervous system. So for me, yoga, not only today, but mainly as we move into the future, mainly as we see more and more technology, more and more information, more and more stuff that overcharges our brain and that we cannot control. So we are not going to stop our society to evolve, to progress, to create wealth, and to have more technologies. So the only thing you can do is to work on your inner technology, developing this tremendous power of focusing. So having the stressful factors coming into your brain and body, but then being able to stop and focus on something else. So for me, visiting the mat daily has one main target you have to have in mind. Daily, you just want to touch your nervous system. That is the only thing that matters. If you revisit your nervous system on daily basis with the proper neurological categorization, with the proper light and gentle positive emotion, you will see the body changing. It's unstoppable. It's going to change. It's going to be responding. That's it.
Thank you so much. I'm feeling what you're saying, and look forward to going into more and the unknown of the positivity. Thanks, Francisco, so much.
Great, great, guys. So now we have another question that popped up in the other chat box. So the question is, now, will the online school continue in this format that it is today, or will it change when all the physical locations are working back normally?
So a question, let me see if I got it right. You're asking if the online school will continue in this format now that some of the physical locations are back. Is that correct?
Yes, that's exactly correct.
So I am so satisfied with the online program, but mainly, like with Judith, I'm so satisfied with the amount of classes my students are taking, the consistency, and with the fact that because you guys are at home, I can present the method exactly as I believe it should be presented. That instead of changing anything in the online school, I'm suggesting a change in the physical locations, because they will be following the same program. In my physical locations, the approach will be slightly more physically demanding, mainly because we will not have the same quality of presence that we can have at home. There are distractions. You need to drive. You need to get there. You interact with people. Now there is a concern. Now we have the fear. Now this and now that. So instead of changing the approach here, I decided to change the approach there. So my schools will be always one day behind the online school, and always working under the inspiration of the classes that are presented here. Although customizing more precisely per student. This is how my teachers are already teaching in our main studio here. But I don't think it should be the opposite. And I don't think this online program will ever disappear, because I mean, Bonnie, my super dear student, as so many of you, I'm seeing here Susan, Dana, Joyce, so many people. I'm not seeing you, Sarah and Stephen. I'm just joking. Just kidding. She jumped into the camera to see what was wrong. So you guys have never had the opportunity to practice with me exactly as I practice myself. And that is, I think, that is priceless, because my body came from a history, Dana, like your left shoulder is super sweet with you in comparison to my hips. And they responded. They responded to a level that I could never imagine to see responses. And that did not come from heavy approaches, from physical approaches. Most of the time, it's exactly the opposite. And after revisiting these classes with you guys during this pandemic, my approach to my practice has been even much lighter. Okay, so I don't think the online will change. In December, yes, we will add new stuff. For those of you who feel like practicing more and practicing on weekends and adding more complexity. But again, I will be presenting stuff that I'm only able to present because you are at home. So I don't feel like I'm teaching remotely. And I don't feel that I'm teaching online. I feel that I'm teaching private classes at people's homes. My mindset is exactly the opposite. So, and once you are at home, once you are in the environment you've been creating and designing sometimes for a lifetime, listening and having the emotional safety of the environment, then I believe we can do everything. And I can do and accomplish even more now. Physical locations are very important, mainly for new students, long-term students that will be going back and forth every now and then to have their practices and poses and comprehension checked. So some students want to see that the teacher is seeing them, which is super cool, and it's absolutely priceless. But I think these two teaching models will walk together. I don't think they can divorce somehow. and I don't think one is better. I think different people, different moments, and all of you will have a day when you feel like not even listening to me because you are so overwhelmed with something that you want to go to your teacher and listen to a person that is guiding you at the moment. We are humans, we need that. Did I respond this one?
Yes, yes, perfectly. Now we do have another question from Monica Zetter, but she's not in here, so I'll go ahead and ask for her. I'm just gonna read it. I know that Kaiut Yoga is not about muscles, but I still feel a huge muscle response. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, well, yes, Kaiut Yoga is not about muscle, that's for sure. Although when I'm practicing myself, when I'm practicing consistently, in some periods of my practice, I don't even go for a walk. And I have a park across the street in front of the place where I live. It's not long. Javi goes there sometimes to run when he's here. And not even walking around the lake once is doable because my muscle response is so powerful that every single muscle pops. And it's in my legs, it's in my back, it's everywhere. So I feel sometimes, and some of you during this past workshop have mentioned that, it's amazing because we do just these things, we do just hip work, we do just this work and just that work, and all my muscles get sore, even muscles that we haven't touched at all. This happens because when you demand from a joint properly, that demand triggers the just a second, Javi, placa motora.
Placa motora.
Jack? Language. Come on, Jack.
It's the motor area of your brain, so how you physically move your hands and all that stuff.
Yeah, so there is
connection.
Yeah, there is a place in your brain that is connected to movement. So once you trigger the joint properly under certain circumstances, meaning once you stress out the joint in a controlled environment, at the moment you do that, you tell your brain, wow, this is a demand that I haven't seen before. This person is now willing to do different stuff. I gotta make this person more capable of, neurologically speaking. So neurologically, the brain sends a message telling your body to be ready for something else. Okay? When that happens, there is a muscle response that is not because you've been building muscle. It's much more intelligence. It's very aligned with nature and it's highly sustainable. So it's literally you enhancing the connection between that joint and your brain, and you optimizing the connection between the brain and the body. This is what I call true body awareness, because it's not you thinking about the body. It's the body having a better brain and the brain having a better body. So you optimize all the connections in many ways. So you work with joints, you don't do nothing, you feel like you are being lazy with your legs up at the wall and arms over the head, but then next day you feel a muscle response as if you went to the gym. Does that make sense? On top of that, one other reason why we also get very strong muscle responses sometimes is the fact that if you are very lazy, just doing Kaiut Yoga with your legs up and arms over the head, that also changes the blood flow to your shoulder. And that alone builds up muscle as well. So we have a circulatory side and a neurological side, both building strength and very often building muscle.
Great. So, guys, do you guys have any other questions? Would you like to ask some more stuff? Please send everything back and we'll be able to have this going. If not, I think this was the last question.
So while you come up with something else, I'd like you to really make a point with two things. First, categorization. The little ritual you would like to establish in order to practice with more ease and at the same time with more, with the help of this positive emotions, that should be it's not about being super emotion about it. And it's not about developing some sort of Jedi mindset. It's none of that. It's super, super, super simple. And I don't want you to feel great as you go practicing. Also not necessary. So you're not imposing anything. It's tiny. It's the pleasure of a cup of tea that you like. It's just this very subtle, gentle, but consistent link between something minor and something consistent. Okay? That is a great resource. A great resource. And some of you have been listening to me saying over and over again, every day, put my stuff outside. I tend to practice in my backyard. I have everything out. So mats, bolsters, blocks, sandbags, straps. I tend to be very excessive of everything. So all the options are there. And then I sit. And as I check my list of classes and poses for the day, I just have my coffee. And I do give myself this few minutes of pleasure, enjoyment. So I'm just quiet. I'm not thinking. I'm not analyzing. I have everything open. My mats are there on the floor. I'm sitting on a chair, and I just have my coffee in silence, creating this nest for my practice to unfold more properly every day. It's a nest, okay? I'm not casual. I'm not casual with the equipment. I'm not casual with the location. I'm not casual with anything. And so it feels not only good, but it feels better every day. It feels relieving every day. And there is this connection between these decades of the developing of this categorization. Practice equals relief. Now, pleasure. It's a coffee, it's a tea. Sometimes it's a glass of water. It's just something that is nurturing and that is part of you. It's part of what you do. You just optimize it and bring some of the essence of it into the practice. You never get to the mat if the mat is a place you go with effort and discipline. Then you go, but you stop going eventually. Then you go, but you get to stop and take a break from it. So if it's just enjoyment, if it's part of what is your enjoyment of living, then it's a whole different deal. So then the mat, it kind of, it attracts you. It brings you. It nurtures you. It's a nest. So have that in mind. And also a very good resource is journaling. I love that. Because if you journal, eventually, in a year from now, you will see that you've journaled about the way you wake up on a Monday morning, your pains and aches, and you will eventually see that you daily complain inside of your head about the same pain, but the level of that discomfort a year ago was much higher. And we have no tools to acknowledge the progression if we don't take some notes sometimes, because it's a mechanism in your brain. You will see problems. We've been designed to see problems only. We've evolved because of our problems and because of the snow and the wildfire. That's how we have evolved as a species and as a society. So our brain is wired to identify only what doesn't work. And if you don't journal, you stop noticing what's working. You don't have the time, the momentum to acknowledge and to create even stronger positive reinforcement in your practices. It's like, wow, my hips are no longer the same, and it's been a year only. Okay, definitely. I saw Bonnie practicing a few days ago, and I was like, what is that? That's a different person. Different shoulders, different hips, different mobility, different everything. So impressive. But if I say, it's nice for you to hear. But if you realize that, the depth of that realization in your nervous system is a way better. Good. So we have a month ahead of us where we'll be practicing classes in a very specific order in order for you all to be ready for December. Right before getting started with the new program in December, I will invite you to join me here once again, and I'll give you some very clear instructions on how to approach the new poses we'll be using at home, okay? That's it. That's my message for this day.
Guys, so first of all, I would like to thank all of you for joining us in this call today. It's always great to be able to see everyone. So we're definitely going to be having these moments a lot more. And we're extremely glad to be able to keep with you guys through this different year. And I would like to thank Ernesto, who's head of our marketing and is being able to bring all this live events and everything that we're doing now in this online world. So thank you so much, Ernesto, and thank everyone for being here with us.
Open your mics. Let me hear you.
Great to see you.
Hey, Francisco.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Great to see all of you.
Hi, Susie.
Hi. Is that Nancy? Hi.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I got 3 screen.
Bye.
So good to see everyone.
Great to see everybody. Thank you all so much.
Open your mics.
Have a beautiful day.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Was nice to see you.
Bye, Martha.
What? No. Mute my phone. Thank you.
Happy. Hey, Happy. Happy, can you hear me?
Is that working?
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Happy,
It's
can you
muted.
hear me?
Muted.
Luis.
Yeah. Hey. Hey, Luis. Great to see
Hey, how
you.
are you? I'm trying to look for the class 17, but it's not loaded.
Let me double check it.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll send you a message.
All
Hey,
right.
Carolina. Great to see you too.
Hello.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye, guys.